I'm going to walk you through building this cabinet from Habitat from Humanity. Alright, these are the tools I'm going to be using. 2 36-inch clamps, speed square, some wood glue, a brush. This is a from Cobalt. It pre-drills and countersinks the screw. It also has a fill-ups on the other side, a drill, and 1-inch screws. Alright, so we lay out all of our pieces. In this real long box, you're going to have these screws and hardware for the drawers, and these clips. In this box, you have some more hardware. And this is how I just lay everything out. We're going to start with the drawer first. You're going to have 2 long rectangles, okay? It's very easy. Only one for the drawer is going to fit directly inside this groove, this dado. Okay? So this goes with the drawer. I'm doing this outside. This goes with the drawer. You're going to have 2 long pieces that are the same. And then you're going to have the rear and then the front of the drawer. And there's no screws for this part. It's just glue and clamps. I start with the front of the drawer because you're going to slide the bottom piece in from the back. Just adding some glue only to the dovetails itself. I'm doing this one-handed, so bear with me. And I'm going to take the paintbrush and spread out the glue. And I'll also add glue to this side as well. Okay, but nothing in here. Nothing in there, okay? I'll bring it right back in a second. Okay, so I got glue applied to both sides, and then we just slide it in from the outside, okay? Remember, you gotta make sure that you have your grooves all matching up, okay? And then I'm just gonna let that hang for a second. We're gonna work on we're gonna glue up the top one, and then we'll clamp everything together, and we'll put glue on top of here as well. All right? All right, so I have glue on all the dovetails, front and back. And if you look at this piece of wood, there's almost a side that doesn't look as nice, and it's one that's has a nice grain texture. We're gonna slide that through the grooves, okay? And it's gonna go all the way down. I can't do this with 2 hands. All right, and then we're gonna put the top piece on, and I'll bring you back for that. So all I did was just slide the piece of wood straight down into the grooves. This is a little tricky, but it's gonna slide out a little bit. You're gonna push the side out and then push this side out, and then it's gonna rest right in there. All right, don't worry about making sure that it's fully flush yet. The clamps will bring it in. Okay, so it should look kind of like this before we put the clamps on. It's not going to be sitting flush, okay? Don't worry about the extra glue. We'll wipe that away. So I got my clamp pretty much adjusted, and I'm going to squeeze the clamp. Okay, you'll feel it bottom out, and we're going to do the same to the top. Okay, make sure that this piece is catching in the groove too, okay? Otherwise your drawer is going to fall. All right, so now this is, you'll see with the clamp, it brought it nice and flush. Okay, I'm going to do the same to the top. All right, so the drawers are clamped together, and we'll let that sit. This glue dries pretty quick. Wipe up any extra, and we're going to move on to the rest of the cabinet. Okay, so we're going to work on these 2 sidewall pieces, and these are pretty easy to do. We're going to bring you to this small box right here. In this box, you're going to have a bigger bag of hardware. This is what we're going to need. And this is going to be a pro tip. Watch this so you don't lose your screws. Magnetic base. So we're going to take all of our small screws out in the plastic. In the metal brackets. Alright. So, we'll work on one side at a time. This, where the toe kick is the front. Okay? If you come really close, they got these pre-drilled holes on the bottom and on the top. You're gonna have another 2 on the top right, and they're scattered all over the place. The ones in the front, okay, I don't put the brackets on ahead of time. I put them on the frame, the face of it, okay? So I'll show you which ones I put on, and I do leave them kind of loose for assembly. So I'm gonna put the one on the toe kick, the rear of the cabinet, also on the bottom, and there's one all the way up top. I'm gonna put that one on. I'm gonna do that on both sides, and I'll bring you right back. And we're gonna be using these brackets and these screws, okay? Okay, so you should have something like this. This bracket's facing outward by the toe kick. The thick dado groove on the bottom is going to be facing flat like that. There's the thin dado groove up top. You're going to have another bracket there, and you're going to do that on both sides. Remember, the front, I don't put the brackets on yet. Alright? And then we're going to need this piece, which is the back. And you'll notice the back is it'll have 2 pre-drilled holes. Okay? And I'm going to set this stuff on a garbage can, and I'll bring you right back. You only need one side. Okay? So I'm going to put one piece up on the garbage can, and then take this piece with me. Oh, and this piece. This is the shelf. It's the only square in the box. Alright? We're going to need that as well. Alrighty, so I'm doing this on a garbage can. Whatever surface you got works fine. But I got just any side is fine. And then this is the back piece. We want to get this back piece, okay, with the thick dado groove lined up right here. You want to make sure that that is perfectly in line, okay? And then we anchor it. Actually, I think it's one anchor right there on the top, okay? So I'm going to add glue to this line right here, and then we'll screw it in. I also add glue to this side as well. Alright, so when you guys come back, this thing will be screwed on, okay? Okay, so I add glue inside, and on this piece, I don't know if you can see it. We're going to get it to line up like so. Again, I want to make sure that I'm seated completely in here. You see, I'm off. This should be flush, so we're going to bring that forward till I'm flush. And then the reason why I bring this shelf with me is because that's going to act as my square to make sure that when I drill it, that I'm staying completely in square. Okay? I'll bring it right back when I have this thing drilled in and set in place. Alright, so now this is being held in place with the 2 screws, and there's nothing really holding this bottom in right now. So I'm going to take this bottom piece and we're going to glue and screw it. And that goes just like so. And the 2 screws for that are in this baggie with the shelf. There's going to be exactly 2 screws. So I'm going to take those, and they get drilled from the back. So I'm going to glue and screw that, and make sure that you're completely in square. You shouldn't have a gap in the corner or anything like that. So as we push it forward, okay, that will straighten everything out. And again, a critical point is to be flush in the front, okay, right where the toe kick is. So that gets screwed from the back, and then also right here. Okay, but be mindful, all the brackets take the smaller screws, okay? So I'm gonna do that and then I'll bring you back. Okay, so now I got the 2 screws in the back, and I don't drill really hard. I just get it so it sits flush, right? And I got the 2 screws here. Remember, you gotta tighten these up. And when I'm drilling it, okay, I have my hand here to make sure that I'm staying flush the entire time. So I'm holding it with my finger and then I'm drilling those screws in, okay? But I first do these, okay? So I do these 2 first, put my finger here, hold it, and then I make sure I put these screws in. Now I'll stand it up and I'll add my side piece to it. So, and then I glue, of course, and then I screw. And that's only being held with this one here and that bracket there. So next time I bring you back, this will be attached to this, but again, I stand the cabinet up now because it could support itself. Okay, so I put my piece on top, I have my glue, and I'm gonna flip it over and make sure that I get all my boards into the dados, and then I'll fasten it down on the brackets, okay? But this is how I do it. Okay, I don't have it screwed yet, but you can see I just have it resting. I'm using a garbage can. I just have it rested. I'm flush here. That's a critical point. I'm gonna come in from underneath and I'm gonna add 2 screws and make sure these are tight, okay? And then I'll sneak in here and I'll make sure that these 2 are tight and these 2 are, and I add 2 screws there. All right, no biggie. Again, just make sure that you're flush on all your sides. Now at this point we have both our sides on, okay, and we have the back. I add my toe kick. The toe kick, okay, gets fastened just like this, and it uses the same small screws. Okay, so I'm going to slide it in there and we'll fasten that up, and then I'm going to stand the cabinet upright. Okay, so my toe kick is installed, okay, and then I'm going to turn this whole cabinet upright. Okay, so I kind of jumped ahead, but this is the cabinet face, and you're going to see pilot holes. You're going to see a total of 8. 2 on the bottom left, 2 on the bottom right, top left. Add your brackets facing towards the large dado, 2 screws each. And then if you look closely again on the inside, and this is into focus for you, you got 2 pilot holes. So when you introduce this frame to the front of the cabinet, you just want to make sure that these holes to the bracket line up to your corresponding pilot holes. 2 there. I can make this focus. 2 here. There, and then on the other side. So like I said, I'll introduce this. I don't glue the cabinet face on in case I ever need access to the entire box. I don't. And I find it easier to put the brackets on here first versus here, because then I could just come straight down into the box and drill it this way without having to deal with the door. Okay, that's how I do it. You could simply add them here first. You could add these brackets to the front. That's not how I do it, and I've done a few of these already. Alright, the next step after having all these brackets on the face plate put in is we want to add our drawer slides. This is how it should look, okay? in the cabinet. This flat ridge should be facing up. Now, they're going to give you a pack of screws like this. And you're going to assume, because it came out of the drawer slides, that that's probably what these are used for. If you use these, you're going to punch through the wood. Okay, these screws are actually longer than the screws that you've been building with. If you run short on screws, no big deal. They won't punch through the face frame, but it is very close. You'll have extra. So, use these smaller screws, and I'm going to show you the difference in just a second. I'm going to open up the pack and show you side by side. But it takes 2 screws here and here, and there's going to be another bracket that goes into this hole, and they just simply push right in. Let me do that while you're on camera. Okay. And we have the 2 holes, and they just push right in, and then they get secured with the screws. Let me bring you over here to show you that there's a big difference in these screws. Where'd it go? This screw came out of this package right here. Look at the difference. If you use this screw in the packet, it came out with the drawer slides, you will go through the plywood. Use the smaller screws. You have extra, believe me. So I'm going to put these screws in real fast, okay? For the plastic retainer. Again, the plastic retainer takes 4 screws, and it just slides left and right, and just add your screws in, okay? So 4 go back here. We're almost done. Alright, so I'm gonna bring your attention to the back of the cabinet. This doesn't happen every time, but sometimes the plywood warps, okay? And because there's no support or no brackets on the inside of the cabinet, you notice that the sides want to bow out, because it won't do it in the front because there's a large dado in the front to hold the face on. But on the back, the tongue and groove is not the same. The tongue and groove will only support the back from pulling forward, not bowing out. So I measure the plywood here, and the center of that's 1/16 of an inch. And I use a countersink bit right here, and I make 3 holes, 1, 2, 3 on each side, and that will keep everything in place until the glue sets in. I do that on both sides. If you measure 1/16 of an inch and you use the appropriate countersink bit, a 1-inch screw will not split this wood. Alright? Hey guys, I just wanted to update you on my square. I gave you the wrong measurements for your drill. I said 1/16. Alright, so I drilled 1/16 of an inch. I got my screws in here, okay? 3 on each side. It's not split here, there's no bowing. Even on the inside of the cabinet, nothing is split. But it's gotta be exactly in the middle. Okay, exactly in the middle. Alright, now we're gonna work on the drawer. That should be done drying, and that step is really easy. Alright, for the drawer, you're gonna work out of this packet right here. Alright, you'll see there's 2 pilot holes drilled right there, 1 on each side. Gotta get the zoom. There's 2 here and 2 here, okay? We're gonna get these hinges lined up, and I'll show you how that's gonna look. Okay, they give you 4 screws. I add a few extra, but you need to pre-drill if you don't want this to split. So what I do, if you slide it straight in, it's gonna line up with those holes. Let that focus. Gonna slide it straight in and it'll line up with those holes. Same thing on both sides, and it's gonna look like that when you're all done. So I'm gonna add 2 screws there. I add a few more, and I'll show you where I add extra. All right, so I put the 2 screws in. It's locked in place, but I like to add, I come back to, again, the shorter screws that come in the big pack. I like to add one here and one here. So there's at least 3 screws. Okay, I don't put anything in the corners because it tends to split. So I put an extra one here and here. So 3 total. Again, I'm using the shorter screws so you won't go through the wood. If you send the small screws in, I don't send the screws so that they bottom out completely. If you send them too far deep, you may get like a little pinhole. Be very careful, okay? If you want, you could try drilling a pilot hole and sending a screw in, but I find that always tends to split the wood. So I like to just, the 2 that they drill fine, and I add one of the shorter screws there that holds it in place. Alright, we're going to put the drawer racks in. That's super easy. So here they are. And once I get my hands free, I'll bring you back in for that. Alright, these are super easy. You're going to see a little hook on the back, and it's like an L that goes towards the wall. Okay, so you just come from the front, and you're going to slide it in, and it's going to go on these little grooves right in there. All right, and then just slide it until it sits flush with the face frame. Okay, and then these will center themselves when the drawer goes in. It goes side to side. They'll center themselves. Just get it flush here so it lines up, and then you're gonna put, it will be pre-drilled. Bring it over here. There's a pilot hole right there, very tiny, but there's one on the other side, and just make it line up with the pilot hole and you'll be okay. And then you can use the longer screws for the face, because the wood is a lot wider. So let me go do that, and then we'll slide the drawer in. Alright, so we got our one drill, 1 screw each. Okay, it's slid in, and like I said, these slide a little bit, and the drawer will make them square. So we take our drawer over here, and we're going to slide it in. Doing this one-handed, it's not so easy. We're going to slide it in until it clicks, and what it's going to essentially lock into these holes. This hook will lock into the holes in the back of the drawer. Because bring it, you'll see what I'm talking about, and it's locked in. Okay, you should hear 2 clicks because there's 2 latches. Okay, and this is done. Well, actually, there's one last thing we got to do. We have to add the bumpers and the plastic tops. So I'll bring you back for that. That's real easy though. I just stick them on anywhere on the drawer. There's 6 of them here. So 4 go on the drawer, 2 go on the outside cabinet. Alright, this is all done. We got the brackets in. All the way around, the door closes nice and good. This is done. It's not so bad.